One morning in late July, while we were out on patrol near LZ Gator, Lee Struck and Dave Jensen got into a fist fight. It was about something stupid, a missing jackknife. But even so, the fight was vicious. For a while it went back and forth, but Dave Jensen was much bigger and much stronger. And eventually he wrapped an arm around Strunk's neck and pinned him down and kept hitting him on the nose. He hit him hard. And he didn't stop. Strunk's nose made a sharp snapping sound, like a firecracker. But even then, Jensen kept hitting him over and over, quick and stiff punches that did not miss. When it was over, Strunk had to be choppered back to the rear, where he had his nose looked after. And 2 days later, he rejoined us wearing a metal splint and lots of gauze. In any other circumstance, it might have ended there. But this was Vietnam, where guys carried guns. And Dave Jensen started to worry. It was mostly in his head. There were no threats, no vows of revenge, just a silent tension between them that made Jensen take special precautions. On patrol, he was careful to keep track of Strunk's whereabouts. He dug his foxhole on the far side of the perimeter. He kept his back covered. He avoided situations that might put the two of them alone together. Eventually, after a week of this, the strain began to create problems. Jensen couldn't relax. Like fighting two different wars, he said. No safe ground. Enemies everywhere. No front or rear. At night he had trouble sleeping, a skittish feeling. Always on guard, hearing strange noises in the dark. Imagining a grenade rolling into his foxhole or the tickle of a knife against his ear. The distinction between good guys and bad guys disappeared for him. Even in times of relative safety, while the rest of us took it easy, Jensen would be sitting with his back against a stone wall, weapon across his knee, watching Lee Strunk with quick, nervous eyes. It got to the point where he finally lost control. Something must have snapped. One afternoon he began firing his weapon into the air, yelling Strunk's name, just firing and yelling, and it didn't stop until he rattled off an entire magazine of ammunition. We were all flat on the ground. Nobody had the nerve to go near him. Jensen started to reload, but then suddenly he sat down and held his head in his arms and wouldn't move. For 2 or 3 hours he simply sat there. But that wasn't the bizarre part, because late that same night he borrowed a pistol, gripped it by the barrel, and used it like a hammer to break his own nose. Afterward, he crossed the perimeter to Lee Strunk's foxhole. He showed him what he'd done and asked if everything was square. Strunk nodded and said, sure, things were square. But in the morning, Lee Strunk couldn't stop laughing. The man's crazy, he said. I stole his flippin' jackknife. Dave Jensen and Lee Strunk did not become instant buddies, but they did learn to trust each other. Over the next month, they teamed up on ambushes. They covered each other on parole, shared a foxhole, took turns pulling guard at night. In late August, they made a pact that if one of them should ever get totally messed up, a wheelchair wound, the other guy would automatically find a way to end it. As far as I could tell, they were serious. They drew it up on paper, signing their names and asking a couple guys to act as witness. And then in October, Lee Strunk stepped on a rigged mortar round. It took off his right leg at the knee. He managed a funny little half-step, like a hop. Then he tilted sideways and dropped. Oh dang, he said. For a while he kept on saying it. Dang, oh dang, as if he stubbed a toe. Then he panicked. He tried to get up and run, but there was nothing left to run on. He fell hard. The stump of his right leg was twitching. There were slivers of bone, and the blood came in quick spurts like water from a pump. He seemed bewildered. He reached down as if to massage his missing leg. Then he passed out, and Rat Kiley put a tourniquet and administered morphine and ran plasma into him. There was nothing much anyone could do except wait for the dust off. After we secured an LZ, Dave Jensen went over and kneeled at Strunk's side. The stump had stopped twitching now. For some time there was some question as to whether Strunk was still alive, but then he opened his eyes and looked up at Dave Jensen. Oh, Jesus, he said, and moaned, trying to slide away, and said, Jesus, man, don't kill me. Relax, Jensen said. Lee Strunk seemed groggy and confused. Really, it's not so bad, not terrible. Hey, really, they can sew it back on, really. Right, I bet they can. You think? I sure do. Strunk frowned at the sky. He passed out again, then woke up and said, Don't kill me. I won't, Jensen said. I'm serious. Sure. But you gotta promise. Swear to me. Swear you won't kill me. Jensen nodded and said, I swear. And then a little later we carried Strunk to the dust-off chopper. Jensen reached out and touched the good leg. Go on now, he said. Later we heard Strunk died somewhere over Chu Lai, which seemed to relieve Dave Jensen of an enormous weight.